All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott from Jeff Teaches Programming, and hopefully you remember from the last video that we went through, we're in the middle of converting this payroll application into an EFCore application. We've done one iteration of it. Now we're doing another one where we have just one form that's going to handle everything. Now you may or may not have realized something here. I did, believe it or not, but you may have, you may not have. Okay, what the heck am I even talking about? Well, I'm going to take this and I'm going to unlock it and I'm going to cut it about in half. Maybe about there. Then I'm going to go I'll grab the exit button. And I'm going to make 3 of them. Now, what am I doing? Why am I doing it, etc.? Well, hopefully you all remember we need 3 buttons in this program. We need a button. We need a button that will add a new record, a button that will update an existing record, and a button that will delete an existing record. So I'm going to move these over because I think it'll look a little nicer. You may or may not agree, but there's my new interface. All right, so let's take this and let's lock it into place, and let's rename all 3 of these buttons. So this will be BTN add record, and the text on it will be ampersand add record. There's that one. The second one will be BTN update record. And as you probably guess, the text will be update record. And the third one will be BTN delete record. And the text on it will be delete record. All right, now the buttons are totally non-operational at this time. Okay, they're totally non-operational. Now again, because I'm just a little squirrely about stuff, I think what I'm going to do is quickly, there we go with that, and that looks fine. All right, we'll lock it back in place again. But now I just want to show you that if we go here, and as an example, once this comes up in just a second, I'm just going to choose hourly. And there we've got it. Now, it looks like that's a little bit low, slow, whatever. You can always go and do this and play with it this way. All right. Okay. So we've got that done. Now, the idea behind this particular, hold on a second. All right. Sorry about that. So with what we've got in here right now, let's start with the add record routine. Okay. So we'll put in here, we'll call add a new record. And again, I haven't mentioned this before, but I want to say it again. The reason that I'm writing them like this is in case we decide later, or you decide, or whatever, that we want to add menu options. So that's why I'm not putting all the code right in the buttons click routine. So this will be private void. Add a new record. There's that. Okay. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do just to make my life a little bit easier for the update. I'm going to put in here update and existing record, private void update and existing record. And then finally, we'll just do For our delete, we will call delete an existing record. Okay, so I've now got all those. None of them are written. I mean, none of them are doing anything, but at least there's something in there now. So I'm going to start with our add a new record. I'll start with that right now. Okay, so that's the goal at this time. All right. So as you guess, that is going to, and I could have called this attempt to add a new record because that's what we're doing in here. All right. So the method is going to be called when you click the Add Record button. So what do we want to do here? We want to read the data that the user entered into the text boxes. We want to create the correct employee object, so either an hourly employee, a piece worker employee, a commission employee, or a salaried employee based on that employee type that was passed in. We want to add the object to our entity framework DB context. We have to save the changes to the database, and then we have to refresh the data grid view because we want that new record to appear. Okay? So the first thing that we want to do in here is we want to determine the type of employee selected. We've done this before, but we're going to do it again. So that's the first thing we're going to do here. So we will come in here, let's put in a comment that says determine employee type selected. And how are we going to do this? The same way we did it before. We're going to have case, oops, I'm going to do a switch better. Switch on employee type. We will start with our case hourly. Just like I've been doing this, I'm going to put a break in here. Then our case piece worker. And a break. And then our case commission. And a break. Our case salaried. And a break, and as we've been doing, just a default with just a break in it. All right, so that is everything. Now, we haven't written anything because nothing is happening in there. All right, but the first thing we want to do in here, we're going to do them one at a time. So what we want to do is we want to come in here, and we want to create a new hourly employee object that will represent a single row, or in other words, record in the hourly employees table. All right, and I'm going to go a little off cue here, so to speak, because I'm going to copy that. And for this one, we'll say create a new piece worker employee object. And that'll be in the piece worker employees table. And then this will be a commission employee object. In the commission employees table. And then finally, a new salaried employee object in the salaried employees table. So in other words, the reason I did it like that is to show you we're going to be basically doing the same kind of thing. So we're going to say here var, we'll just call it hourly employee. And we're going to set that equal to a new hourly employees. All right, I don't need that there, but I want here. Okay, let's get back over to here. Put this in curly braces, okay, with a semicolon on the end. All right. And what do we want to do? We want to read in the values from the text boxes, and if necessary, convert them into decimal numbers or decimal values. So we're going to have in here first name is going to be equal to txt first name dot text, comma, last name is going to be equal to txt last name dot text. Hours worked is going to be equal to, we'll convert it to a decimal right away. Well, this doesn't look good, but we'll get this working in just a minute. Oh, you know what that is? That's, remember, this is just called txt text box 1 dot text. And then we have to do the same thing with the hourly rate, be equal to convert dot to decimal. Okay, that like that. All right, let's pretty this up just a tad. All right, so that should read them in. All right, after we do that, what do we want to do next? All right, we want to add the new employee object to the EFDB context. And here, the object exists only in memory. So we're going to come here and say payroll program dot db context dot hourly employees dot add hourly employee. All right, we're going to do that, and then we're going to break. All right, and as you can probably guess, we're going to do this for the next next three employees, I should say. All right, so again, even though it's a little, maybe this is a dumb way to do it, but I'm going to do it this way anyway. And that is, I'm going to copy everything that's here, and I'm going to bring that in here. In fact, let's do this. Let's add a space here and down here. All right. So this is going to be var piece worker equals new piece worker employees. Read in the values and convert them into this is integer or decimal values. So these are still fine. So this is going to be pieces made equals convert, and that's a 2int, because remember, that's an integer value. So 2int, let's just make it a 2int 32. All right, and this is price per piece. All right, so that's now done. Again, let's pretty it up a little bit. All right, then we'll do the So this one will be now add piece worker employee. Okay. So we call this hourly employee. We just call this piece worker. So let's make it this piece worker employee. Well, copy, paste. Why doesn't it like that? Oh, that's got to be here, piece worker. Okay, there's that one. So the first two are done. Let's bring in the next one. Oopsie. Okay. It's got to be. Let's bring that break back in here. All right. So this will be commission employee. And this will be commission employees. All right. And these will be convert them into decimal values because they're both decimal. So we got first name and last name. This will be commission percentage, and that will be a 2 decimal. This will be sales amount. Okay. Again, let's pretty this up just a little bit. All right. And this will be commission employee. And this will be commission employee. All right. Finally, let's do the last one, which is salaried. That'll take less time because it's smaller. All right. Okay, so this is salaried. And this will be salaried employees. And it'll be just it, because there's only one. So this will be salary equals convert, and that'll be text box 1. All right, remember text box 2, we made it invisible. Okay, so here we're going to add this. All right, so that is everything as far as creating a new record, be it for an hourly employee, a salary employee, a commission employee, or an hourly employee, and then adding the object to our context. So that's the first thing that we want to do in here. All right. The next thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to make sure that regardless of which way we did this, we want to save the new record to the database. All right, so we've got all this in here. So that's all that. Now when we come back to the bottom here and we break, what we want to do here is we want to persist the new record by adding it to the database. So we're going to call save changes here. This will do the following. 1, it'll generate the required SQL insert statement. 2, it will send that SQL command to SQL Server. Whoops. To SQL Server. All right. 3, it will store the record permanently. All right. So it will store the new employee record permanently. All right. And how are we doing this? We're going to say payroll program dot db context dot save changes. All right. So now, ideally, at least, hopefully, all right, we have made that work. Now, I see there's a problem here, and the problem is this. I got to move this up. There we go. And what was that problem there? Just so you know, that should not belong inside of the switch statement. All right. So that'll save everything. Now, what we want to do next is we want to call load records. All right. And load records is going to load the records. Basically, it's going to re-query the database and reload the data grid view so you can immediately see that the new record's been added. All right. Now, I don't think I've written load records yet, but I don't think it's in here. I'm going to find out right now. Okay, that's our save changes. Next, call load records to refresh the data grid view to show the newly added record. All right, I don't think we got anything called load right now. Nope. I've got load corresponding records. I don't know where that is. I don't know where I put that. How's that? Now I'm looking at this. Okay, we've got here load corresponding records. We do have that written. All right, this will configure it. There's the load corresponding records right there. All right, so we've got that. Show other form, exit, etc. There's our add. So we add the new record. We check to see what kind it is. We add it to the appropriate DB context. We call save changes and we reload the database. Okay, now that looks good. There's a couple more things we really should do. First, let's clear the text boxes that hold the current record information. So we will come in here and say, because we might want to add a new record again, so we're going to say txt first name dot text equals nothing, txt last name dot text equals nothing, txt text box 1 dot text is equal to nothing, and txt text box 2.text is equal to nothing. All right. Okay. So that's the first thing we want to do. We could have called clear. There's a lot of ways that you can do this. Finally, let's do this. Well, let's set the focus. So we'll say txt first name dot focus. And set focus to first name text box. All right. All right. What else do we want to do in here? How about send the user a message that the record was successfully added to the database. All right, so we'll do a message box dot show here, and we'll say the new employee record was successfully added to the database. And we'll call this successful record add. And we'll make it an OK and an information. That's good. Oops. All right. So what have we done here? When the add record is clicked, all right, the user's entered data into the text box fields. The program determines the type of employee. It creates the correct type of employee object. It adds that object to our DB context. It calls save changes to insert the row into SQL Server. It reloads the data grid view to show off the new record. All right, so now if this works, we have successfully refactored those 4 things for adding a record into one. All right, see if we can do it. There could be problems in here. I don't know, but we're going to try it anyway. I'm going to try to add one of each record, and we'll see if we can do it or if we have problems. All right, hourly. So let's come in here, and I'll add myself. And I worked 40 hours. Whoops. No. I worked 40 hours. We're not doing the gross pay yet, which was silly on my part, but that's okay. And 25. And we're at a record. It says it was successfully added. Well, look at that. I'm in there. 40, 25, I'm 1, my first name, my last name, and my employee type. Okay, I didn't clear this, so I got to fix that. Okay, but other than that, it looks like it all works. So what do we have here? That should have been last name. Why doesn't it like that? Whoa. Okay, let's make sure that's correct. What did we call the last name, or did we rename that? There's the last name. Nope, it's still called text box 1. So that has to be changed to txt last name. Okay. Now when we go back to here, we should be able to say txt last name dot text, and that worked. All right, now I'm going to put in one more record. Why? Because that's the one hopefully in a few minutes we're going to update. Now, hopefully when we come back to hourly, you're going to see that the new record is now in there. There it is. All right. I don't like the way that the order of this, but we can always change that. I'm not worried about that at all. So let's I'll add my wife. And she worked 50 hours. And she makes $50 an hour. We'll add her. All right, now she was added. Okay, that's good. Now we don't have anything in here yet for the add record, the update record, and the delete record. We will work on that. We will fix that. I hope to do the update in the next video. All right. So let's exit. Yes, I want to exit. Last thing I want to show you quickly, because I'm sure we're way high on time here. But just so you see this, if I go to View and I go to SQL Server Object Explorer and I refresh and I go to my database, which is Payroll Database ASP, and I go to Tables and I look at the hourly employee and I look at the data, lo and behold, there they are. Now, that isn't good. So we got to make sure that we're putting that in there as well. Okay. That's one thing we'll have to take a quick look at in just a bit. All right. So I'll be back in just a few minutes, and I'm going to start with the update, and then I'm going to go to the delete. Okay. I'll see you then.